let's just call it what it is. The Denver Broncos, I just put some stats up there. They're just not good. Points against 190, points per game 31.7, yards per game 440, passing yards 1,600 already. Yeah. I mean, that's 14 sacks. I guess that's okay. Now they've given up 19, but 14 sacks. They've got a couple guys that can rush the passer. They've obviously gotten rid of Bradley Chubb last year, Randy Gregory, Frank Clark. Like, this is a depleted team. They've had some injuries. I think, Pat Surtain's certainly a really, really high level player. You think about, Justin Simmons being a high level player, Kareem Jackson. I was like Kareem when he was in Houston, but they just have not played up to level. They run multiple fronts. They run different coverages. They like to play a soft zone. They'll go to man every once in a while. Really, really last week, what you saw exploited was they'll play a 3-4, so you want to attack those edges. I don't think their outside linebackers are as good as they once were as far as personnel that they had there in the last couple of years, certainly with Vaughn, certainly with Chubb. You can block them with linebackers at times. You see how a quick toss out to the other side. They're bringing the safety down, gets caught here. Can get downhill. This is a good offensive line, good running backs. I mean, Kansas City Chiefs are a good team. You have to account for their play. I think the biggest thing when you think about attacking the Denver Broncos is just make sure their playmakers don't make plays on you. Make sure Justin Simmons doesn't make every tackle. Make sure Pat Surtain doesn't shut down one of your guys. Everybody else is manageable. These are all NFL players, but they're manageable. But like this kind of play, you just can't allow to happen. One thing you saw in this Kansas City game is Patrick Mahomes had a ton of time to throw. He ends up getting caught here, and they end up getting the pick. But they had a ton of time to throw. And they'll get into nickel, and they'll run multiple fronts. We saw this with against the Saints. They'll run like a 5-man front here, and they'll leave 47 up top. Josie Jewell. They'll bring down the safety. Or they might even go base defense here 4-3, and just instead of running their 3-4, they have 4-3 personnel, and they'll run it more like a 5-man line. Like a 57 front. We got a bunch look on the bottom here. They go play action, and what you love about play action against the Denver Broncos is their linebackers like to read eyes, so they don't drop to spots. They kind of backpedal, and there's this soft top area because their safeties will play really deep, especially if you have some speed up top. So you think about like a Christian Watson kind of challenging the leverage of the safeties, and then you got some undercuts by, could it be Jalen Reed, could it be Romeo Dobbs, but these are in cuts that this is a drag by Kelsey. Luke Musgrave could run this route. But these are plays that you feel like Jordan Love would be good at making, and these linebackers are allowing this to happen. And again, there's a lot of 4-man rush. So against a play action pass with the timing and a 4-man rush, these opportunities look realistic. Now, Kelsey's out here freestyling a lot during this game, but this was not one of those plays. Talk about plays that Jordan Love would love, okay? When they're playing their soft zone stuff, when they decide to back up to the 40 and you can run quick outs, this stuff is easy to move the chains for the Green Bay Packers offense. We're looking for, you're still looking for what are you good at? What do you do well? What does he like to do? And I'm of the opinion, quick outs, intermediate, in route, in cuts, are things that Jordan Love does well. So the more that we can throw of those, and this team will give them to you, the more you can throw, the better. You look on the top of the screen here, you got 2 guys wide open. It's just, who do you want to throw to? Bottom of the screen, you got 1 guy wide open. Who do you want to throw to? Take the 5. I thought last week in particular, because of who they're playing, they traded rush for coverage. That just very simply means they want to drop 7 every time. So he had all day to throw, but I think Mahomes had 3 picks. Like, he did not have one of his signature games. And this is a division opponent, so they know each other very well. Green Bay Packers have not always have to do under center play action pass, but if you pull the guard, you see what happens to these linebackers. They are gonzo, right? You pull the guard and you just tag this with a quick scan. This is right off the tape. So they noticed if you pull the right guard, you have an RPO look here. If that linebacker vacates, they are throwing this slant right now. Their head up on the slant. He wins inside, little burst. We saw this play last year towards the end of the season. Went to Watson for a touchdown. It was Aaron Rodgers. Same kind of play, though. RPO, vacate the linebacker, make an easy throw and catch. I went back because I don't think, quite frankly, the Chiefs are a very good comp for the Green Bay Packers. I think the Jets are much closer. Why? Young quarterback. He is playing better. Offensive line that is a work in progress. Stud running back. Stud wide receiver. Good tight end. So they have kind of pieces in place. Don't have it all put together yet. But you watch the first series of the Broncos versus the Jets, and you see that the Broncos actually look like a pretty decent football team. And this isn't too long ago. So they're missing DJ Jones. He was a San Francisco 49er, played nose tackle there. He's a good player for them. If he comes back, Josh Myers is going to have all you can handle with this guy. I think he's a good player. Does really well in the run game. Not much of a pass rusher. Does a really good job here with his inside hand, forcing back the Jets center, really making this play. Bonito's got 5.5 sacks. Somebody's got to step up, next man up kind of idea with Chubb and Gregory gone. This guy has a good motor. I don't see Zach Tom personally having a hard time with him. I don't see Rasheed Walker having a hard time with him. I see him being an effort guy. If we hold on to the ball, we create issues for ourselves, and there are issues to be created, then he can capitalize on them. But I do not see him having an issue. Elijah Vera Tucker just takes a really bad set here and gets beat. That happens. But okay, this is the Preston Smith. This isn't just Green Bay. You run a 3-4 defense. Sometimes your outside linebacker gets caught in the slot, and sometimes the team's smart enough to put their wide receiver out on you. It doesn't just happen in Green Bay, right? This happens all the time. This is from the first series 2 weeks ago. Jets, Broncos, what do? Exact same route, exact same play, exact same result. Another San Francisco guy making plays here for the Denver Broncos in the middle. Talking about Mike Purcell now. But they'll do a good job moving off the spot. You see how key it is. If we're going to, the problem with staying in 12 to 21 personnel is when they go 3-4, that means Myers has to block guys by himself sometimes, more often than not. And he hasn't shown with his footwork that he is maybe as good as he used to be at doing that as we thought he was going to be maybe his first year or second year. The Broncos, as good as you can talk about their secondary, there are so many opportunities in the passing game. And you just see here, Zach just doesn't even see this guy. But, I mean, they literally didn't – I mean, they didn't even – there's what, 2 dudes run into each other. There's 4 guys over their guard and 1. And they just completely missed this. And so there's opportunities abound